Hey, what's up guys, John here. The amount of companies going bankrupt has doubled over the last 2 years.
Rising bankruptcy inquiries.
Companies are filing for bankruptcy now at the fastest rate since 2020.
25% of Americans cannot afford to eat. Think about how big of a number that is. 40% of Americans are behind on at least one bill.
More Americans are falling behind on their credit card bills.
More than 20 million Americans are behind on their utility bills. The balance is the highest on record.
And in addition to this, over 20% of the entire population is on some form of welfare or government assistance. Now, when you start to look at what's unfolding in these new policy changes that could be coming to America, it will make perfect sense as to what these companies, these big companies are doing, why they're doing it. Now, I'm talking about the Amazons of the world, the Facebooks of the world, the Apples of the world. They're getting ready for a really big change. And I believe it's very wise for small businesses, medium-sized businesses to get ready for this as well. If you're an employee working for one of these companies, you really have to pay attention to this. I believe what we're going to walk into is not so much one specific crazy policy that's going to flip America's job market. I believe it's going to be the perception of the employer looking out at America saying, what could happen next? What crazy policy, crazy law, what unfortunate event could unfold that could be a great burden to our business? Could it be this? Could it be that? Well, how about we just do this? Let's cut costs. Let's save as much money as we can, build out a float so we can get through a storm, because everybody thinks a storm is coming. At this point, everyone's getting ready for this. Look at Warren Buffett unloading tons of stock, whether it be Apple, whether it be Bank of America, whatever it may be, he's unloading tens of billions of dollars worth of stock. He's not alone. A lot of CEOs are doing the same exact thing. Companies are looking at the world differently. Well, look at this. BurgerFi, 22 hours ago. Big trouble. Might go out of business, according to CNN, right? You have Big Lots closing hundreds of stores. This is just last week, right? August 13th, 8 days ago. Then you have Rite Aid, CVS, Walgreens closing tons of stores, Dollar Tree closing stores. All of these big retailers are all closing up shop. Now, what I think everyone should be looking at is what these big companies are doing. Because these big companies, I believe, have way better information than all of us. We learn from them, I believe we'll be better positioned for the future. Please hit the like button, hit the like button. YouTube will share this content, educate more people about what's unfolding in America and our economy. And if you'd like to fix your credit, position yourself what I believe is going to be the greatest rug pull and the greatest wealth transfer of all time, we'd love to help you if you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative or derogatory item on your credit report. Go to greatcreditfast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free call for tomorrow and check our reviews on Trustpilot. Take a look at this. So this is pretty shocking. You have gold at $25.49 and an all-time high at a time in which they say the economy is booming. How does that make any sense, right? People are looking to merge into safety, right? And gold, precious metals generally is just that. Now, Kamala Harris is discussing a lot of things, whether it be a national rent control, a 5% rent cap on rental properties for corporate landlords, people that own 50 or more rentals, whether it be grocery store prices, late fees, insufficient funds fees, banking charges or junk fees. All of these things she wants to control and modify, right? She wants to have the ability to set the price and the terms. Now, if you're a company in any of those industries, you're wondering what this would mean for your bottom line. Even if it's not impacting your specific industry, you're wondering what next policy could come that could, right? Well, this is what is fascinating. When they're talking about increasing the corporate tax rate to 28%, and then you see them revising the jobs down a million jobs, then you see, more than a quarter of Americans are skipping meals to struggle to afford groceries. You see 21.3% of American population participates on government assistance programs every month, and nearly 40% of Americans are behind on the bills. That's the big question mark, is what crazy policy is going to be coming next. Now, they say if the corporate tax rate goes up at all, it says this means that higher tax on U.S. businesses translates into fewer jobs and lower wages for American workers. Now, lower wages for American workers. If you're one of the millions of people that have recently come to America, you can afford to likely work on a lower wage. You don't need $100,000 a year to make it. Why? You don't have a $1,000 car payment. You don't have student loan bills. You don't have, the hard cost of being an American, which is generally a lot of debt. You could work for less because, the dollar is going to go further if you have no monthly fixed debt payments to pay. right? So it's going to be a race to the bottom with wages. In fact, the data shows that for lower income households, families bear a larger tax burden on average from corporate income taxes than from individual income taxes. Now, this is where the corporate tax rate would go, from 21% basically to about here. I mean, it could go as high as here, depending. So it's kind of a flip of a coin. Now, what you see here is how the tech sector and how a lot of these corporations are already responding to the uncertainty that is now America. Tech layoffs reached 132,000 in 8 months in 2024. Now, someone commented this who's an engineer, and they say, I'm a software engineer. And when the onslaught started happening at the end of last year and beginning this year, I was just happy to have survived. 2 months ago, I got a random meeting invite, and when I entered it, like a third of our engineers were also present. HR was present too. And in about a 5-minute meeting, they informed us that everyone who was in this meeting will be gone in a month. And a lot of engineers in the call were heavy hitters too. This is all despite the fact that our financials have gotten better over the years. What's going on right now is truly insane. When we were operating at a loss, we were kept. But now that we just hit profitability, they lay off a third of us and give it to offshore. Be happy you guys aren't software engineers or working in tech right now. It is a bloodbath and everyone is living in constant fear, right? 132,000 jobs cut. Now, as these employees went from a business that was making nothing to now a business that's making something, the owners of those companies are saying, hey, we need to make more. We need to prepare for a storm. And so let's look at this. Let's look at Apple, for example. It's a big, the big behemoth in the room, the big elephant in the room in the tech sector. Apple, I would argue, is probably one of the most sustainable, buzzword companies out there. Inequity, inequality, all the buzzwords, that would probably encapsulate Apple, right? Apple, they've done it basically by licensing their intellectual property, and they have a great tax haven, a great tax structure, where they license their intellectual property, the iPhone, the iPad, and so on, to a company that's incorporated in Ireland, but is also considered a resident of Bermuda for tax purposes. So they take all their profits offshore. Then they say that what we need here is, the inequity, we have to combat inequity, inequality. We need to make things more fair and just, and we need to, tax the rich, right? Meanwhile, I would say they're the richest, or one of the richest, and they're not getting taxed at all. Now, these smaller, medium-sized companies are going to be the ones that are going to be feeling the brunt of this. Now, the big win for Apple and a lot of these companies would be that, look at this. It's a $6 trillion nest egg that look at this. This is unreal what they're doing. Amazon, Facebook, other tech giants paid almost $100 billion in less taxes than they claimed. They're going to take all the money offshore. When things hit the fan here in America, they're going to come back and buy it all for pennies. Bolstering demands for a global minimum tax to rein in corporations' evasive tactics, a new analysis released Monday showed that a half dozen big tech companies based in the United States paid almost $100 billion less in tax over the past decade than in their annual reports. Between 2011 and 2020, Amazon, Facebook, and Netflix, Apple, Microsoft, known as Silicon Six, paid roughly $219 billion in income taxes, which amounts to just 3.6%. That's almost a tax rate if you're living in Puerto Rico. On the $6 trillion in total revenue, according to the Fair Tax Foundation, income tax is paid on profits, not total revenue. And researchers said these tech giants are adept at reducing their tax liabilities by shifting profits to offshore tax havens. So when they talk about taxing the rich and they're going to, do all of this and they're going to get the money from the billionaires don't leave their money here in America. The billionaires, they're billionaires for a reason. Their tax and legal teams, they have an army, right? They have an army of specialists that are designed and in their position to evade such problems like this, right? That's the truth. That's what's really happening. And what'll be fascinating is what's going to unfold here in America, the race to the bottom with jobs. Because if you think about this, Americans are so tapped out. They have so much debt, so much expense and when you have all of these people that are coming here looking for opportunity, and they don't know a 4-day work week. They don't know the work from home, the comfort of, working from Thailand and, making a 6-figure salary and having all that freedom and flexibility. A lot of them know hardship and they know poverty. and they don't like it. And they're willing to work 12, 15 hours a day. They're willing to do whatever it takes to pay the bills, and they're working hard, really, really hard. So you're going to bring a lot more competition for a lot of jobs in certain sectors, and supply and demand are going to dictate and determine pricing. We're going to see prices fall in a lot of different careers, and you're going to see job outsourcing and companies taking their tax status from America to other locations because of this. I mean, look at this, for example. Your automated cashier isn't an AI, just someone in India. Amazon made headlines this week rolling back its just walk out checkout system where customers could simply grab their in-store purchases and leave while a generative AI tallied up the receipt. As reported by The Information, however, the system wasn't as automated as it seemed. Amazon merely relied on Indian workers reviewing store surveillance camera footage to produce an itemized list of purchases instead of saving money on cashiers or training better systems. Costs escalated, and the promise of a fully technical solution was even further away. When you think about it, if you're running a Whole Foods and you have 30 or 40 staff inside of that Whole Foods, whether it be in the back stocking groceries, or whether it be cashiers in the front, whether it be janitors, you start looking at, if the average person is getting 16, 18 bucks an hour, and someone in India is willing to do it for $3.50, $4, $5, $6 an hour, or Serbia, what are these big corporations going to do? They're going to do the same thing Wendy's is doing and McDonald's, where you talk to the person on the screen when you're going through the drive-thru. That person is not at the cash register. The person's in India. They're in a different country. We're going to start seeing a lot more of this automation. And they said that they're rolling it back because it just didn't make sense for them at this stage. But it will make more sense. This isn't going to be something that's going to fade away and we're going to go back to the old way. I don't think so. Instead of saving money on cashiers or training better systems, costs escalated and the promise of fully technical solutions was even further away. The promise of AI for corporations and investors is that companies can increase profits and productivity by slashing their reliance upon a skilled human workforce. But as this story and many others show, AI isn't just today's buzzword. Today, AI is just the buzzword for outsourcing. And it comes with the same problems that have plagued outsourced companies and workforces for decades. Now, what I think is going to happen is when you look at mom and pop real estate, the duplex, the single family home, the triplex, the fourplex, a lot of them are owned by small business owners. And over the next couple of years, these small business owners are going to be walking into problems. A lot of them are also owned by employees that have been with companies for a very long time. A lot of them are owned by retirees. There's a lot of change unfolding in America, a lot of change unfolding in our economy. And I believe we're going to see a lot more sellers of this property type than we've seen in the past, especially considering before there was such heavy demand from buyers and investors. I think we're going to see supply and demand play a really big role, and I think we could see prices go down in a lot of these hot markets. A lot of Airbnb investors getting hit with the lack of tourism and travel. I think we're just going to see a lot of overall change unfolding, and I think we're going to see a lot of wealth being consolidated over the change happening. When you have corporate bankruptcies doubling, when you have these big retailers closing down locations, and you have a lot of big companies looking to relocate, I'm hearing a lot, even on social media, a lot of people are just trying to go to Dubai. They're trying to go to different countries because they don't trust America. They want to take some risk off the table in America. Now imagine if it's just an individual person, they're thinking that, what would a company with 50 or 100 or 200 employees doing millions and millions of dollars in revenue be thinking? Probably the same exact thing, right? They're ahead of this storm. They're getting ahead of it. I think we're going to see major changes unfolding in our job market and everything associated to these wages and all these assets, these cars. I mean, everything is, I think, going to be in question. These values are going to be in question. Let's have a conversation about this below. What do you think about this? Do you think we're walking into a major shift? Before it was the Great Resignation, do you think we're walking into maybe the Great Departure, where a lot of these companies are leaving America? Let's talk about this below. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself, what I believe is going to be the greatest wealth transfer ever, we'd love to help you. If you have any credit issues, late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, any issue at all like that in your credit report, go to greatcreditfast.com, click the link in the description just below this video, schedule a free call for tomorrow, check our reviews on Trustpilot, catch you next video.